Hey everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. Before we get started, be sure to check out my website, CorinneBlackstone.com. You can find all of my blogs, free SVGs, and you can sign up for my free newsletter there as well. In today's video, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about using Printable HTV. Now, I'm going to personally use the StarCraft brand because I've tried tons and this one has been the best performing and the longest lasting in all of the things that I have made. We're going to do both for lights and for darks today. That way we can really learn about the differences, what kind of products you want to use each of these on, as well as some tips and tricks to working with both. I'm really excited to go over these with you, so let's get started. Whatever we would do, we do it just for fun. We are going to use Design Space so that we can do print then cut for these designs that we're going to do. And I'm going to do the same design so that you guys can see the difference in what it looks like on a light fabric and a dark fabric. And then I'm going to show you the lights on some other colors as well. So we'll first need to upload the design that we're going to use. So I'm going to click upload and then upload image. Now, I don't like browsing for stuff because it takes forever. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and do a drag and drop. So I have my folder already open, and all I do is I click on my item and hold my mouse button and then drag it over to the screen and let go of my mouse button. Now it's going to tell us that it's large, and it is, but that's totally okay, not a big deal. Then we're going to choose the word complex and hit continue. Now, because this is not an SVG, it doesn't load right away. You have to go through the cleanup screen. But in this case, we don't do anything. We're not cleaning up anything. We're just uploading this image as a print and cut. So click apply and continue. On this screen, once it brings up our images, you're going to choose the one that says print then cut image. Now, the cut image always takes forever to load, so just give it a second. The next thing we're going to do is just simply click upload. Then select the image from your recently uploaded images and add it to the canvas. Now, this is why it takes forever, because it's a really, really big image. So I know that we can only print and cut this at 6.75 by 9.25. So I'm just going to change my width to 6.75. Now, clearly this is pretty small, and that's the one thing that I don't love about Design Space. So I'm actually going to change the height to 6.75. And it should give us a little bit more area, but it's still really going to waste a lot of space that we could use. But it's fine. No big deal. Now, I can duplicate this, and I might be able to fit two if I resize them a little bit. But I don't know that I care to do that enough to have it fit onto the same sheet. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and delete. Now, we are going to print this two different ways because there's a big difference between the lights for HTV and the darks for HTV. The darks are not mirrored and your lights are mirrored. It makes a big difference, so you want to make sure you know exactly which kind you are using before you commit to your print. So because I'm going to print this one on the lights, I'm going to flip this on my mat right now, like on my canvas. I don't like to mirror it after I hit make it. I prefer to flip it over here. So all you have to do is go up to the top where it says flip and flip it horizontal. Now it's going to look a little bit backwards, and that's how you want it to look. You want it to look backwards. Now I will say anything that is see-through, so anything that is transparent will cut. So let me show you really quick. I'm going to change the color of my canvas so that you guys can see anywhere that it's going to cut through. Now on this one, the only place it's going to cut a little spot is right here, and I'm not worried about it cutting that out. So I'm just going to leave it, but you could always fill it in if you so chose to, but I think we'll just leave it. It'll be fine, and it'll actually help you guys see where you can see through the design a little bit. I'll change my canvas back to white just because it's easier, and we just hit make it. Now you'll see that it's all set up and ready to go. So again, because we're printing this on lights, we need to mirror it. Go ahead and click continue, and I'll show you guys how to print this on darks as well. Now all you'll need to do is click send to printer. And it has been opening them really weird. You see how it's all like funky? Just close this and try hitting send to printer again, and it should fix the problem. I'm not sure why it does that, but closing that screen, the print setup screen, and then reopening it fixes the issue, and it's not a big deal. Now we do want to leave the bleed on. because we're going to cut this, but we really don't have to cut the lights. And when we do one of the other ones, I'll show you guys why we don't have to cut the lights. But we're going to do that just so you can see. Then I want to turn on my system dialog because I want to use some settings for my printer to make sure that this prints out really nicely. I'm going to click print. Once it brings up my printer, I'm going to select preferences. There's a few settings that we want to make sure that we change. The first setting is to change your quality to high. And then under more options, there are a few settings, but this one is the most important one, is high speed. You want to turn that off. That eliminates those lines that end up on your print. So you just want to make sure to get rid of those. Then all we need to do is print it out. So I'll take you over and show you the printer while it prints. And then I'm going to show you the machine cutting, and we're going to cut the lights. And then I'm going to show you guys how to do the 4 darks one. Then we can press them, and I can show you the difference in what they look like on the different fabrics. We are going to be using the StarCraft 4 lights. So I wanted to show you, there are 2 sides. Obviously, we have the back side and the front. So you want to make sure that you're using the white side to print on. So you'll need to know for sure which way your printer prints. Mine does it with the printable side out. And then I'm using my Epson ET2720. You guys always ask which one I have. And this is my inkjet printer. So we'll go ahead and get this printed out. So while this prints, I want to go over just a couple of little things with the 4 lights. Now these are for inkjet printers only. You don't want to use a laser printer and no sublimation printers as well. You are going to want to use a heat press when doing this. An iron can be used, but it's not recommended. Also, you want to make sure that when washing, you do follow a few important directions. You want to turn the item inside out, wash it in cold water using mild detergent, never bleach this. You also want to dry it on low heat, but it really is recommended to hang dry these. And if you do need to iron the item, don't iron directly onto the design because it will melt it and then your shirt will be completely ruined. You definitely do not want to do this. Now keep in mind, you can actually cut this out with scissors if you want to, or you can just kind of leave it. It's however you want to do it. You do not have to use a die cutting machine with the lights. Now you want to make sure that you've loaded this in the same direction that it shows on the screen for your cut. So you want to just make sure that they are oriented the exact same way. So it's going to load it, it's going to read our lines, and it's going to cut everything out. Once it's done cutting, I always just do a test cut, like check. So what I'm going to do is peel off my paper and it cut through so you can see. That's what we wanted to do on the lights. So go ahead and unload it and you should be left with just your image. So I'll go ahead and pull that off. We do have one little spot that cut through. Remember I told you that spot would cut through. That's okay. The cut doesn't look too off. It's a little bit off, but I've calibrated 100 times and I still can't get my Cricut to cut correctly, so I've just given up at this point and we just deal with a slightly off cut. So we'll go ahead and get ready to press this. Now we're going to set up for doing 4 darks. So for doing a print and cut on the darks fabric HTV, so the StarCraft 4 darks, you do not mirror your image. You don't have to do anything crazy special, but again, you are going to have that transparent portion cut out. So just be aware of that. For the darks, you're basically going to do the exact same thing when it comes to printing. But again, remember, you do not mirror this one. This one is not mirrored. So what we're going to do is, again, just click continue. We're going to send it to the printer and select the correct printer. And again, I knew it was going to do this and it's been doing this 4 days. It's driving me nuts. Just close out, click send to printer again. I fought with this one a lot to get it to print. So hopefully we can just move along without any more problems. So I'm going to use system dialog again and click print. It'll bring up my printer settings and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to change the print quality to high and I'm going to turn off the high speed print. That's all I need to do to make sure that I get an excellent print. I'm going to show you how to set it into your printer. It's exactly the same, but the paper looks a little bit different. And then we are going to cut this on the rice paper setting with our Cricut, and I will show you guys how to find that as well. This is StarCraft for Darks, so the logo on the back is red. So again, you'll print it just like you did when you printed your 4 lights, so you want to print on the white side. Simple as that. And then, like I said, everything on the darks will be red, so it's really easy to tell the difference between the two. While our darks prints out, we'll go over a little bit of info on the darks. So again, this is for your inkjet printers only, and you want to use this for sure with just the inkjet, no laser printers. You don't mirror this image, and the other thing is the washing instructions are very much the same. You want to turn it inside out, cold water, mild detergent, absolutely no bleach. Dry it on low, and it's really recommended to hang dry for your best, longest lasting image. You also don't want to iron directly onto the image or it may melt. Now, the dark fabric transfers are fantastic because they are opaque, meaning that they are completely white. So any portion of them that is white will remain white. And you'll see that when we press this on to our darker colored shirts and how this is going to differ from your lights. I typically am a person that likes to use the darks for everything. And again, you can use a heat transfer mask with these if you have something that has multiple portions and parts to it. I personally don't like to do that. I do find they make it a little bit finicky. With the StarCraft 4 darks, we don't want to cut all the way through. This one, we just want to do what's called a kiss cut, meaning you're only cutting the top layer and not through the backing. So just like you do when you do HTV or adhesive vinyl. So what we'll need to do is find the correct cut setting. So we're going to go to Browse All Materials. Up at the top, if you search the word rice, you will find rice paper. This setting works great, but I would do some test cutting before you commit to actually cutting out a full project. I've cut many times and it's worked fine, but just do a test cut on your machine. So select the rice paper setting, click done. We'll head over to the Cricut machine and we'll get ready to cut this out. So now we're going to do the darks. We're going to do the same thing. You're going to load it on to your mat here, just like you did the lights, and not so bad like I just did. Again, trying to keep it pretty straight. That's not even close to straight. Sometimes I do have to just go through and fix it. It's okay. It's not a big deal, but you do want to try to get it pretty straight and as straight as you can. Okay. Give that a nice little press on there. And again, we set this to rice paper, so it'll do the same thing. It's going to scan our lines, check our tool, and cut out our image. So now what I like to do is I'm just going to make sure that it didn't cut through, because it's always a big concern for me. Did not cut through. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my pin pen and I just find an edge, and it's not always real easy to find the edge because Cricut hates to cut the way we want it to. So what I like to do is I just try to go around towards where the bleed is and see if I can find where it cut. Not always easy. Sometimes you can feel it. I can feel it down here and it feels like it's low. It feels like it's lower than it should be, but that's okay. And I just want to make sure that it cut through because I don't think that it did. Cricut has been being a real butt today and not cutting the way I want it to. You also have to be really careful because you can see here I can kind of scratch off the ink right now, so you need to be careful when you're going and trying to find if it cut. I really can't tell, to be honest. I can kind of feel the line, but I'm a little afraid that it didn't. And I'd really like to be able to verify it, but I'm afraid to cut too much. Oh, I can see the line up here. Okay, I found a spot where I can actually see the line. So what I'm doing is I'm looking to see the line. It definitely didn't cut, so I'm going to do a double cut. So what I'm going to do is just hit the go button again and allow it to cut around a second time. Sometimes Cricut, again, it's been a little nutty today, and it cuts sometimes and it doesn't cut other times. Okay, we're going to check it again. I have a feeling that she's just going to be a little difficult today. But no, it looks like it cut this time. So you can see here, I can kind of peel this away. We don't want to keep peeling that, so just trust me on this. We're going to go ahead and unload, and I'm going to show you guys how we're going to take this off, because we need to take this off a specific way. So what we'll need to do is actually get the image off of the backing. And the easiest way I find to do this is to grab my pin pen, and remember we pulled this little part off. I just take where I found the edge there, and I work my pin pen under all of these spots. Now, I do this gently because this is sharp and you don't want to stab a hole through your image, but I'm just going very gently around the edge to lift it. And once I get a pretty good section lifted, I can start using my hand to take it off. Now, some images, if they're multiple pieces, you may need to use what's called a transfer mask. I don't recommend it. I don't like doing it. I don't have a lot of success with them because they tend to pull the ink off. So if you can avoid it, don't do it. So I like to just recommend, if you're doing print and cut, try to do solid designs. So this part is pretty tedious because you do want to go slow. And like you might find a part like over here where I've got a little bit of a weird cut because of the way the letters are designed. That's okay. Just follow the edge around and you'll just get it to come off. And it's all going to come off in one big design. Now I did get a rip over here. It's okay. Not the end of the world. It'll get covered up once we press it down. But like it didn't cut very well right here, which is why I ended up with the rip and I wasn't going slow enough. So just be aware that you do need to move really slow with this. Take your time and use that pin pen to help you kind of break the edge seal. It didn't cut very well over here like at all, so it is just ripping like crazy. So if you find a spot that's doing that, find another spot to start. So right over here, I've got this little edge right here and I can see where it cut. So what I'm going to try to do is to loosen this edge and see if I can kind of work from there. So a lot of times what I'll try to do is get the backer out of my way. Now let's say we're just getting mad and it's just not working very well. Another option is to actually take the backing off, the big piece, if you can get it to come off. Like I said, this did not cut very well this time. I blame the Cricut. It's not the product. It's really, truly the Cricut. Like I can see right here, there's not even like a cut line. The Cricut has been making its own mind and decisions up with how it wants to cut. Like there's literally no cut line right there. There's no cut line right here. So this is all on Cricut and their poor software. So I'm going to do my best to get this to actually come off cleanly, or at least as clean as I can. And then I will just cut a new one because this is just a disaster already. But this is how you'll get it off. So once you get like a major portion of it, you can pretty much just take it and pull it off of the paper. And you'll see sometimes the paper like will stick. If it's doing that, you're pulling it too much and you're going the wrong direction, or you just have too much of an angle. So just take your time and kind of work your way around, and it should come off if you go the opposite direction. See, now I got the paper off. But I can tell you, like, this didn't cut at all. Like, the whole bottom of this didn't cut one bit. So I'm going to definitely have to recut this. But I wanted to still show you that this can be a real pain in the tuchus, and it's not the product, it's the Cricut. Because it cut great up here, and then it didn't cut anything down here, which is why we couldn't find the cut lines. We are going to start with the StarCraft for Darks because these press at a little bit lighter of a temperature. So these are going to press for 30 seconds at 350 degrees with medium pressure. And the pressure and the temperature are extremely important when working with this. You can use a hand iron to do these, but it's really not recommended. And to be honest, I haven't had a lot of luck using a hand iron. So these are the different ones that we cut out. Now this is the one that ripped, and then I cut the rest of these out better, obviously. So we're going to do them on 3 different shirts because I want you guys to see what they look like against different colors, especially for the lights, but for the darks as well. So I have this kind of bright blue. This is a heather, 65% poly, 35% cotton. Then I have a full white cotton shirt by Hanes. The first one was a Gildan brand. And then this black shirt is a Jersey's, and this is a full cotton black as well. So I'm going to press each of the designs, but I am not going to center them or anything. These are just tester shirts. So I'm just going to kind of put them over to the side because I want to leave enough room to do our light transfers next to them so that you can really see the difference in what they look like on the different shirts. I have my heat press set to 350 degrees, and I have it set to a pretty high pressure. And to set the pressure on this one, there is a knob back here that you turn. So again, I'm not setting this up so that it's nice, neat, or anything like that. I just want to show you guys what they look like on the shirt. So what we're going to do is go ahead and put our press down. Now I have a Teflon sheet between my press and my image, so you want to make sure you have something protection, whether it be parchment paper, a Teflon sheet, butcher paper, something like that, between the heat source and your image, because otherwise you're going to melt the image to your press, and you definitely don't want to do that. So we're going to go ahead and get this pressed on our black shirt, and then I'm going to bring over the colored and the white. So I'll press those pretty quickly because it's all going to press exactly the same. Now we're getting ready to do the 4 lights, which I have 3. Again, one for the black, one for the blue, and one for the white. Now these ones are pressed at 375 degrees for 30 seconds, again with heavy pressure. The pressure is super important. The temperature is super important with these. And you'll note again that these ones are mirrored. So when we put them on the shirt, we're going to put them this way so that you can see the StarCraft logo. We're going to peel the paper off of these while they are hot. So we'll peel them right on the heat press to make sure that we get that off, and then we can take a look at what they look like on each of the different shirts. I'm excited to see how different they are. I can't wait for you guys to learn a little bit more about the lights and the darks. So let's get over to the heat press and get these pressed. So we're ready to press the lights, and I have the other image so that it is off of the press. I don't want to repress that. And what I'm going to do is, again, I'm not measuring or anything. I'm just going to set this down on here. I do have this sleeve just a little bit on the pillow, so I do want to make sure I get that off. And again, I'm just laying this down. So this is at 375 for 30 seconds with heavy pressure. So I'm pushing that down pretty hard because it is a little bit difficult on heavy pressure. We need to peel the paper backing off of this while this is hot. So right away, as soon as it's done pressing. So you'll want to be careful because the shirt's going to be pretty hot. Now this is, again, something that the temperature, the time, the pressure, it's all very, very important to working with this product. So we're going to wait this out. We've just got a few more seconds. Now you will notice that your press does technically lose a little bit of heat because it is pulling from like the coolness of the shirt, but it won't really affect much. It's just a couple of degrees. So now you'll see that it's done pressing, and you need to peel the paper off while it's hot. Your paper might feel sticky. That's totally normal. And we're going to go ahead and peel that off. I'm going to get the rest of these shirts done super quick as well so that you guys can see how they all come out. Start with the white shirt because this is the shirt that works best for both. So regardless of if you want to use for lights or for darks, it works great on the white shirt. One thing I want to point out though is with the lights, everything that is white is actually transparent. There's no white background, so what you're seeing in all these light colored areas is the shirt, where this one it is the backing, so you're getting a lot more of that bright whiteness on this side for that reason. Now the 4 lights, like I said, it works great on white. The 4 darks also works fantastic on white. You'll see a little bit more of what I'm talking about, where you can see the color through on the blue shirt. So let's move on to blue. Here is our blue shirt. Now you can see a huge difference in the images. This is our 4 darks, where it has the white background, so it doesn't pick up any of the blue color, where this one is a transparent background, and you can see how much it has affected the color and the design. If you see what I mean about where it's white, you can only see blue through it because those areas are transparent. So any color you use that is not white is going to alter the color of your design, and any part of your design for the 4 lights that is white will be the color of the fabric that you put it on. Where the 4 darks has that white background, so you can see how well it works on this kind of medium blue shirt. I think it works really great, but this could be a cool look depending on what you're going for. It does work. It's just a matter of if you have white areas and other colors, it will alter those colors quite a bit. You can see the differences in the pinks. They look kind of reddish over here and orange. You can see the difference in the castle colors. So just something to think about. Obviously it does work. It holds on. It's fine. You can see the design. It just does change color quite a bit. Now the black one is going to be a whole lot different. And here is our black shirt. Now I know it looks like there's only one design, but you guys saw me press. And if you look carefully, and hopefully you guys can see, there's a little bit of a shine on this side, and in person you can feel, and I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a rough patch right here from where the color design is from our 4 lights. But you can see that you can't see it at all, so this is definitely not something that works on dark colored shirts. This is the 4 darks, and one thing I'll mention is if you look at the coloring, especially along the white, there is some darkening of it because it's what's called dye migration. You're going to get this on a lot of black shirts. This is super duper common. It's from the cheaper dyes that they use to dye shirts with. It does tend to bleed into your colors because the heat kind of activates that dye. So you're going to end up with a little bit of a more grayish white look, but I still think it looks really, really, really good compared to, you know, what the 4 lights looks like. So I'm going to show you guys just a little comparison here so you can see what I mean about the color. Do you see how white these are and how kind of grayish that is? These are both the 4 darks. It's just a little bit, like I said, a little darker over here. I still think it looks fantastic. I don't think it looks bad with that. It looks a little more vintage, but it is not going to be this super clean color that you get over here. And then here is the 4 lights against the black 4 lights, which you can't even see. So here are all 3 shirts together, just so you can kind of get an idea of how they all look. Again, this side is our 4 darks. This side is our 4 lights. I would just highly recommend continuing to use the StarCraft 4 light materials on your lightest colored shirts because you're going to get your most true color, your most true design using them that way. The 4 darks you can see really works on each of the colors just fine because it is not a transparent background. I think it really looks great on the white. I think it looks great on the blue and on the black. So that's just something to keep in mind when you are choosing the product for the item that you want to work on. I recommend having both in your craft room because they both have their pros and cons to them. The 4 lights does feel a little bit lighter on the shirt. This one is a little heavier on the shirt. I feel like this one looks like it's a little bit more a part of the shirt versus the 4 darks, but it's just because the way they are applied and the adhesive that is used with them. If you guys have questions, please let me know. I hope that you picked up some tips, tricks, and hints and some information all about the difference between 4 lights and 4 darks when it comes to your StarCraft materials. Now again, they come in these little packages. One is red, one is green. Red for dark materials, green for light materials. The backs are also labeled so that you can't get them mixed up. It's super easy. These are really easy to use as well. You saw how simple this was. And The nice thing is with the 4 lights, you don't necessarily need to actually use your Cricut to cut them. You can cut them with a pair of scissors, just cut close to the edge, and because it's a transparent background, you won't see the background on the shirt. That's something that you may want to consider as well, because you can see my Cricut did a really terrible job cutting this one. It did okay on the others, but it still did a really bad job here. It was the machine, not the image, not the product, just the machine. Just did not do the job that it was intended to do. Again, if you have questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the 4 lights or the 4 darks from StarCraft. I'm linking everything that I used down below for you so you can easily find what you're looking for. And don't forget to use code Corinne to save 5% on the materials. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting!